Welcome to Ringette Ontario's Team Talk, a social media series focused on connecting the Ringette community through conversations with players, coaches, officials, and sport leaders. This series is brought to you by SeeWhatSheCanDo. SeeWhatSheCanDo is a sport-loving community that celebrates active women of all backgrounds and capabilities and connects them to the people, stories, and local businesses they need to be active. Visit SeeWhatSheCanDo.com to explore stories of hope, resilience, adventure, and find the resources that inspire and keep you moving. Let's get started.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Team Talk. My name is Emily Renneberg. I will be your host today on our final session of Team Talk, presented to us by SeeWhatSheCanDo. Now, I've been a competitive ringette player for 15 years now. I've worked as a live sports broadcaster, and I now host my own podcast called Even Strength. I'm very excited to be here today to host this wonderful event. Thank you so much to Ringette Ontario and SeeWhatSheCanDo. I'm going to be welcoming the two co-founders today of SeeWhatSheCanDo, two lovely ladies, Tina and Caroline, and we'll be talking today about their journey and success with SeeWhatSheCanDo. Welcome, Tina and Caroline.
Hi, Emily. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Emily.
I'll be giving a little bit of an intro to both of you, and then we can start diving in. So, Tina is a very seasoned entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in launching and growing companies, brands, and products, and is a Canadian-bred storyteller and a lover of all things outdoors. Now, Caroline brings to us 20 years of professional experience in the sport and recreation industry, and her journey is through passion of sport photography and supporting women in sports. Now, both Caroline and Tina are here because they had a vision where they could welcome active women into finding a sense of belonging and with local communities. So we see them as authentic sports-loving women through their platform of SeeWhatSheCanDo, again, which has sponsored this wonderful speaker series. And we'll be chatting today about their journey and their successes. So welcome again to the show, Tina and Caroline. It's great to have you. So to start out, SeeWhatSheCanDo is very, very community focused, and that's really what we're here to talk about all today, and really the essence of the Team Talk series that we've been carried through all the way to this finale moment here. Now, I'd love, Caroline, for you to explain the SeeWhatSheCanDo mission and what is the driver behind the company itself.
Oh, I certainly will do that. Emily, for us, SeeWhatSheCanDo is really a place for women to find all the things that make them passionate to move and to find a sense of belonging in the world of sport and movement, and really just to be able to find a place that is welcoming and safe and representative of who they are in terms of an active woman.
I love that. That's wonderful. And it really speaks to the community, and that's really what we're looking for again today here. And Tina, did you have anything else to add there?
Yeah, and I think, one of the missions really has been to break down these barriers to sport. We know that, girls drop out at 3 times the rate of their male counterparts at the age of, in their teen years, at the age of 13. And it shouldn't happen because we know that sport does so much more than the physical activity itself. It helps us with our careers. It helps us, mentally. It helps us make friends and all the great things that happen. So, if a smaller percentage of women are, physically active, we're missing out on all the great things that sport has to offer. So one of our real missions is to help impact younger generations to stay in sport and keep all generations and people of all capabilities, cultures, shapes and sizes, and just moving and connected. So let's break down those barriers and let's support each other and keep our bodies moving.
Now, personally, one of my favorite things about SeeWhatSheCanDo is that it's not just focused on sports, it's focused on just getting active and getting your body moving, because as a highly competitive athlete for much of my life, I have a newfound appreciation for just going outside for a walk and not necessarily making it a big moment of competitive sport, but it's just as valuable as sport is. And that's really, I think, the essence is, as you said, Tina, of breaking down those barriers and making sure that it's accessible to everyone.
Well, and you know what? It's a great point, Emily, because in some stages of our lives, it may be that you're playing high level ringette, but in other stages, it may be that you just need to get outside and walk, or get into a forest, or, you know, play hula hoop with your daughter or your son in the kitchen. Like, it'll look different at different stages of our lives. And so that's, you know, our intention really. We've defined sport as anything that moves your body. So it could be that hula hoop. It could be, you could be swimming. It could be walking. It could be playing ringette, or, you know, basketball, or an individual sport.
Absolutely. And I know between the two of you, this idea for See What She Can Do came because the two of you met during some adult women's hockey, which was new for the both of you. Now, Caroline, I heard that this was a little bit more of your brainchild, and you brought it to Tina over some coffee. So I'd love for you to share that story about how this came to be to the point where it is now.
Sure, I'd love to. So really, for me, it's been a dream, a long time dream, and kind of percolating as I moved around with my husband's job. So living out west in Calgary, living in different parts of Ontario, living in Chicago, and living in the mid-Atlantic state of Delaware. And for me, the world of sport is my happy place. And so whenever we would move, I'd kind of automatically go to sport to try and meet some peeps. And so, you know, as I moved to Aurora and used the hockey program to meet women in Aurora, I got to meet Tina, and then through all kinds of different working positions in the world of sport and rec, realized that there are too many, to what Tina said, too many barriers and so many great things that are happening in the world of women's sport, but oftentimes we just don't know what's happening. And so the goal was really to create a place that we could break down those barriers, break down the silos, and really build meaningful connections with other people. And so I threw this idea out on 2 pages of paper to my hockey sisters that you know, I had the chance to play with and get to know at coffee. And the response immediately was, "This is awesome. This
Pick
is
me,
great."
pick me.
Yeah, and right, to Tina's point, you know, as soon as I threw out the 2 pages, I kind of said, now I just need to find the person to help me do this. And I really said it rhetorically, and almost immediately Miss Tina went, "I can help you, let's go." And so with that, it was the following week. We usually met on Thursdays for coffee. So she's like, "Let's meet Tuesday, because we're not giving up our Thursday coffee." And we went from there. And honestly, that was 2016. And we have been meeting for many coffees ever since.
And sometimes a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, Tina, your background is in marketing and entrepreneurship, not necessarily like Caroline's in sport. So what made you jump in to See What She Can Do and into the sports world?
Well, I mean, I've, much like, you know, a huge portion of our population, sports always been a part of my life. So I didn't have a real sporty family. We didn't watch sports on TV. I was taken every once in a while to a WWF wrestling match, which is not is more theater than it is, although they're very athletic. So, you know, where I played my sport was through high school, through grade school. It was very accessible. Anybody could play. It really didn't matter what your skill was. So I was a generalist. I was, you know, it helped kind of calm my mind and my body to be a part of that. And I was very social. So sport was always something I did for fun. And then, you know, fast forward a few years later, as what commonly happens after you have kids, and, you know, I wasn't really taking time for myself. I'd moved to a new community. I hadn't played team sports for years. And I just happened to bump into somebody who said, "Hey, you should come, you know, you should come try hockey." I'm like, I can't skate. My ankles are like this. I was like 40 years old, and I'm like, I can't do that. And then my daughters are like, "You're the only one that doesn't play hockey." So I'm like, okay, I'm in. And that's all it took, really. And, you know, what I would love to say to this audience is through hockey, I was introduced to ringette. So we had some ringette players come and play on our team. And, you know, feeling this passion, like I'm personally engaged in that sport. Not only did we cover it, but we also have had the opportunity to play it, and we love it. So, so my skating went from not being able to stop to being able to play a game and meeting all kinds of women. And that's where I found my peeps too, much like Caroline. I found my peeps through sport. I also saw it as a great business opportunity because women are worth the investment. I mean, between sport apparel and clothing and sport programs, I mean, there's over $17 billion spent on by women in the marketplace, and we're not getting the attention we need. So I really saw it as an opportunity to make a difference in our communities, to be engaged in something I love, which is sport, and to meet other great women all across Canada. So I saw it as a great business opportunity, but it was also connected to sport that I love and community, which is I'm all about community.
And I love that you said that women are worth investing in, because I know that's been a big topic of conversation recently, especially with the success we've seen at the Women's March Madness tournament just recently finished.
Yeah.
The record amount of viewership and the engagement that they have for their athletes, and the way that that sport has really grown and propelled. And it really just shows people who have that doubt that, you know, people don't want to watch women's sports, but we do know statistically that people are actually open to watching women's sports, but only 4% of that media is given to women. Yeah. So I love the message again of See What She Can Do, and giving women specifically a platform for this, because again, yeah, women are worth investing in, and especially in sport, there's a lot of great opportunities there. So to then ask you a question of, you know, you started at that point at that coffee chat, you're here now, you've had See What She Can Do officially for just over 3 years now. What has been the biggest driver of your growth? What have you seen change the most in the last 3 years?
Well, I'll jump in here and, you know, speak to the notion of community. And the great thing about community is that, you know, sometimes you have to do the heavy lifting early on without seeing the big returns. But, you know, we really put our money where our mouth was. We went out to cover so many different sports, and to just be present and to connect people and to tell their stories and to cover them. So those were kind of our early days. And then where things started to ramp up is once we had started establishing relationships with, you know, with players and leaders, you know, we started building these community relationships. So with, you know, municipalities, with the sport organizations, with, you know, sport media. And so the more we started connecting people to each other, whether that was women to women, or women to their supporters, you know, or supporters to each other, the more we started to see growth. So really, you know, the growth has come in making sure that our platform is not competitive. Anybody is welcome to come on it, and everybody is celebrated. And it doesn't matter what your business is. If you support active women in a positive way, we want you there. So the growth has really come from the community itself, and, you know, people bringing their friends on, and us covering their stories and telling their stories, and us being able to bring the, you know, the appropriate businesses from a local standpoint that can support you.
And if I may just jump in just really quick, I really think, you know, we're really trying to leverage the power of many, and the ability to provide women and empower women with really powerful tools to share their own stories, and to be a part of something greater and bigger, that, you know, we don't have to wait for somebody else to say, okay, you can tell your story now, it's worth listening to. It is worth listening to, and we've invested in that, and we're excited to be investing in what all the great things that are happening in the world of women's sports. And I know as we get to know each other, you know, the sum of the means is just so much greater than individual. And I think there's so much power in that. And I think we're seeing that even more now with the pandemic in particular. So.
Absolutely. And you led right to my next question, which was about the, you know, maintaining community in the pandemic has been a huge topic of conversation. Obviously, we've been living very, very different lives from even a year ago. And I think, you know, with having an online platform, that maybe you have some advantages there, but not only are you an online platform, but you're very much involved in the physical space as well. And I'd love to get your thoughts on how you've been able to continue fostering community within the pandemic. And maybe you can even touch on your new launch of your circles.
Yay, it's very exciting. So, it's an interesting question. I mean, if you just take a look at what Ringette Ontario has been doing, over the last few months, who would have thought a year ago, when we're not on the ice and we're not playing, people are like, what are we going to do? Leagues and associations and players, we're all lost. We're like, what am I going to do without my sport? But at the essence of it all, take the sport piece away of it, like the fun of physically playing the game. Like, we want to be there for each other. So I think what's been great about the team talk and all the other great things Ringette Ontario has been doing is to bring the community together, to provide a platform to people to have a voice, but also for people to feel connected and a part of something. So we love this initiative, and we're super grateful to be a part of it. We love to see what she can do moments where somebody is celebrated each session. So because we're all about the celebration. But we've, like you said, Emily, our platform is intended to bring people together, whether that's virtually or, out in the world where we can meet, out in the world where we can meet. Our new initiative that we've launched is called See What She Can Do Women's Circles. And the intention behind our women's circles is to really help women gather virtually. Right now, we're locked down. And it's tough, but we still need each other. So our intention is to help women gather based on interest. We have 3 circles that we're launching with many that are about to roll out. It's fun virtual experiences. The circles are free to join, and there's all kinds of great things that'll be happening virtually over the coming weeks. We have 3 circles. You saw that little spotlight that came out a few minutes ago. We have a women and dog circle. So if you're a dog lover and you want to come out and get some at-home training tips, or learn about how to do agility at home, or just talk to other women about the local trails that are near you. This session is being led by a great woman who has all kinds of skills around, grooming and training. And so that'll be a really fun session. And that actually starts this Monday. And then we have our Paramazing Circle. So if you're a parasport lover and you're in that adaptive community, we have a Paralympian and an adaptive sport coach who are coming out to lead this community. And they'll be doing all kinds of fun things from, like adaptive yoga to, book clubs and quiz nights and fun stuff like that. And our 3rd circle is very exciting, is our Women Coaches Circle. So if you love to lead, that's the circle for you. Find, whether you're a retired coach or you want to learn to be a coach or you are a coach, this is a safe place for you to come and lift each other up and have fun. It's all virtual. Our first 4 sessions, there's no cost. So just, you can check it out at seewhatshecando.com/circles and do something fun. I mean, we've got sessions on a Monday night, a Sunday night, and a Wednesday night. So there might be one that fits your schedule, and you're going to meet great people in your community.
Wonderful. And I will say that I have joined the coaching circle. I'm very interested to be a part of that. I coached as a junior coach for 3 years, but as I age, I'd love to still be a leader within that space and learn from some of the best. So I know that's probably one that resonates with a lot of our audience today. So again, if you'd like to join those circles, I think that's a really great opportunity to still maintain connection, especially now that we're back in that stay-at-home order. So,
and Emily, sorry, Emily, I just want one more quick thing with the circles. If there's a circle that an area of interest that someone might want to reach out and let us know about, or if they're interested in being a future circle experience host, certainly let us know as well. We'd love to have you connect.
Perfect. It's all about community, right, Caroline?
You got it.
There you go. So keeping with the community, right now we are graciously being hosted by Ringette Ontario. And from my own experience and my own knowledge, you guys are very, very involved with the Ringette community. You always have been. The first time I actually was involved with See What She Can Do is when I started the Western Ringette team Instagram, would have been 2017. And all of a sudden there was an account called See What She Can Do, commenting empowering things on everything I posted. And that was when I first started realizing that See What She Can Do was coming into the community and making themselves known. And so I want to talk a little bit about your involvement with the Ringette community and how you see a very special to me and a very special to everyone here, sports community that's more geared to women, open to all, but more geared to women, and quite a niche sport. So can you maybe fill us in on how you feel about Ringette?
Sure. Well, I think as Tina has sort of alluded to, we have a number of friends who play hockey with us, but they also play Ringette. And so early on, we were introduced to the game, and I mean, I love it. I think it's amazing. And so once we got that introduction and a taste for it, I think we really began to appreciate the depth of community that's in the Ringette community itself. And it really, to me, I think it warranted far more attention than what it was getting. It's an amazing game. It's strategic, it's smart, but it's also graceful. It's like ballet on ice, yet it's a battle. It's an amazing battle of two teams. So that, for me, that was what brought us to Ringette. I think was the community around Tina and I were so closely connected to the game itself. I don't know, Tina, if you want to jump in and add any more comments to that.
Yeah, and I think, what is truly amazing about the sport, I mean, Caroline talked about community, but what I love about it is, the stories behind it. And, it wasn't really, and I think it's important for people outside of the Ringette community to understand the stories behind it, because you guys everybody in the Ringette community knows how great it is, but, the challenge is really getting out there and helping others know how great it is to grow the sport. And I think part of that is hearing people's stories. And the stories that we've heard have been amazing. And, so, cut away the fact that it is a great sport. It is fast. It is fun. It is, so skillful. Love it. Love the sport itself. But the people behind it and the community behind it, you guys are so tightly tied. It's amazing. So if we can get that word out to people, that's the heart behind Ringette, the fastest game on ice. I think, the sport will continue to grow, beyond where it's even grown. The stats I was reading, 2019, 2020 in Canada, I think were the highest growth rates ever. So clearly the community is doing great things together. So kudos to everybody involved in that.
Absolutely. And you know what, as a lifelong Ringette player / advocate / enthusiast, it's so heartwarming for me to hear that people are interested in my sport. And I think that would be the case for a lot of people who are on today, because Ringette is one of those sports that doesn't get a lot of attention from anybody who's outside of the community. Maybe you have a cousin who plays, or you walked into the rink at the same time you're seeing a practice and you're like, what is this that I'm watching? It is definitely a lot different than any other sport. You can liken it to the strategy of lacrosse with some rules like basketball. It has similar equipment to hockey, but really that's where the similarities end. And I think from my experience, it's incredibly unique. And to have an organization like SeeWhatSheCanDo and two women behind that organization backing a sport that's so important to women and people of the community is really encouraging, because I know for a very long time we've been kind of fighting this battle of showing ourselves as worthy in the sport community, and that people can take us seriously and that they understand what we do is different than other sports. And you don't really have to compare us to hockey or compare us to other skating sports. We are Ringette and we do a really good job that way. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's fantastic to have both of you be so open and excited to be working with Ringette, because like you said, Caroline, there's lots of stories that need to be shared, and you do a great job of that as well.
Well, as a newcomer coming into the sport, I think, we heard this through MLSC, where they did a big program where they were trying to get more women involved in football. And so they encouraged, young girls to come out and play the sport. And so when they played it, then they started to get excited about watching it. And so I think that's a big thing around Ringette too. The fact that we played it, we had a natural connection to it because we have friends who played it. So we came out to watch it and loved it right away, right? We knew about the community. But when we physically got on the ice, that even cemented it even that much more, right? So your try-it programs are really awesome. And the more you can get even adult women playing, the more you'll have younger women playing, because it's just a fun sport. I mean, who's not going to love it once they get on the ice, right? And the fact that you are wearing equipment, you're a little less scared to fall on the ice than you might be without it.
Yeah. And I think for me also, as an action photographer, it's just an amazing sport to photograph, because it's its own magic, really, is the best word I can think, honestly. And so for me to be able to capture those magical moments and to help people see themselves, because the wonderful thing is I get to be on the bench sometimes, when I'm shooting, and I'm grateful for that. And so people forget that I'm doing what they're doing. And then when people come back and see the photos and see the stories, and they go, oh, wow. Like, you're internalizing some pretty awesome stuff about what you can do and what you're capable of. Because it's really hard to be able to watch yourself, right? Unless you're being videotaped. So when you can capture that moment, that magical moment where you're in your flow, you're in that magical space we call sport, it's pretty cool. It's pretty special, and I really feel very honored to be able to capture those moments, because there is a bit of an intimacy that's happening on the ice. So yeah,
she makes it look easier than it is. I have given it a go. My photos are typically very blurry, so I'm just saying. Anticipating the play is a big part of it. I am sure of it, but because it's fast, it's a harder one to capture, right? So.
Yeah. Well, you can even see Caroline's photos on See What She Can Do. Like, they always accompany a really great article and really boost that article, because you get a really great action visual that accompanies that, and you really understand what you're looking at, and also you get to read about it. So Caroline, your skill with your photography really complements what you're doing with See What She Can Do. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, I know See What She Can Do is very much focused on amplifying voices, and that's something that we've already talked about. But for me specifically, I think is a case that we can probably, dig into a little bit more here and get some thoughts here, because like I mentioned in my introduction, I started a podcast last 2020, May 2020, last year. And my podcast is focused on equality in sports. So it's a sports interview podcast that has a different individual in a different sport every single time. And I knew I was able to do that because I knew I had the backing of a community and a network to be able to support me to just launch this podcast. And Caroline was a really big piece in that, because when I reached out to her to say, I have this idea, I would love for you to join us, not only did she participate in an interview with me, and you can listen to that interview on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, but she also set me up on the website, gave me a business page, sent me some merchandise, which I've given to my cousins, and also kept some for myself. I have a hat like Caroline. But she was really, really supportive in helping to promote my episodes and understand, like, this is something that's really exciting and we want to get on their platform. And then I got to meet Tina, and all of this kind of came together in this team talk now, where we're working together in these spaces as well. So Caroline, when I first reached out to you, what was your response to having someone like myself reaching out to you and asking you specifically for your skill set and looking for accessing your network and your community? What's that like for you?
It's so gratifying, and I'm awfully grateful that you thought to ask, because I'm so happy to help you do what you do, because you rock. First of all, just saying, you're good at what you do. But I really believe that there's power in numbers, and we really can lift each other up. There's no zero sum. If I get something, or if I don't know, if I take something, the other person can't have it. I mean, in my mind, it's really about lifting other people up and helping people have success in enjoying being able to work in the world of sport. And when you reached out to me, I was like, absolutely, we'll help you. We'll tell your story. We'll spread the word. And really, because what you're doing is super important, because you bring a different angle to the storytelling. You bring an amazing sense of timing and asking questions, and having a great sense of being able to get a good story from somebody who wants to tell their story and has an amazing sport experience that I know will relate and resonate to other people.
Absolutely. And then again, I always appreciate the support. And like I said, the way that I knew I could do my podcast and have some success with it is because I knew I had some backing to it. So again, very grateful for See What You Can Do and very grateful to be here today. How does it feel, Tina, for you to be involved in the community like this and be able to use your many years of experience to help other women and connect them with who they need to be connected with to take them to their next step in their journey?
I love it. I mean, I'm a kind of a natural community builder, so I love connecting people, whether it's businesses with businesses or, you know, players with players or someone who needs a resource. I mean, I love it. And I particularly love, you know, mentoring some of, you know, a younger generation. So if there's anybody that wants to get into the sport world that has questions around, you know, sport marketing or communications, we're more than happy to, you know, to have a conversation with you. Just reach out to us on LinkedIn or, you know, you can connect with us on our website. There's a contact us page. We have 2 interns on our staff right now. They're both York University students and they're doing a phenomenal job. It's really exciting to watch them develop, and they both have passions, Gina and Jacqueline, for women empowerment and, you know, their love of sport. One of them just co-hosted a podcast with you, Emily, this morning. You can find our podcast at on our at buzz505.com/SeeWhatSheCanDo. But I love it. I think it's, I mean, that's one of the funnest part of this job is there's a lot of passion in this world. And we happen to be bumping into some great people who have a lot of it.
I love to hear that. It's a fantastic opportunity to get connected and use the resources in your community who are so ready and willing to help you out. And I think that's the beauty of what we have here is everybody here is very open to helping connect people with the right connection and help you move to the next point in your life and get you active, if that means walking your dog or actually playing a highly competitive sport, anything in between, getting involved in business, all of that great stuff. And with that being said, both of you, do you have a moment where you went, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did this, or this is it, I think I finally like clicked with what I'm doing, with specifically See What She Can Do? And Caroline, I'll ask you to start first.
Sure. I think for me, I've got 2 stories in particular that resonate with me. And there are 2 stories about 2 women who always saw the power of possibility for women in sport. One was a gal named Blair Koski-Klein, who came out of the figure skating community. She was a professional and then later became a coach. And then Tracy Kitchen, who was in the ball hockey and ice hockey community, and she started a brand new ball hockey league in Whitby for all ages. And and sadly, both of them are no longer with us. And so I'm grateful for I was grateful then that we had the opportunity to showcase and celebrate their story, but now even more so, I'm ever grateful to be able to carry and share their legacy as leaders in sport and to use their stories as examples of the power of what's possible, because the sky's the limit, really.
Thank you, Caroline. Tina?
For me, I love the stories too. So the sheer resilience of people and their ability to get through challenges and then make an impact on their community, or people trying, you know, things that have never been done before and are, you know, blazing trails for other people. So there's a few stories, you know, that we've captured on our platform that I love. Okay, so I want to highlight 4 of them, but there are gazillions there. I love them all. One, you know, the beloved Ringette godmother, Phyllis Sadaway. I mean, she's an amazing woman. We got to meet her, and she has, 30 years coaching. She's made such an impact, you know, at the community level, right up to the international level. I mean, she's an amazing woman. She's 73 and wants to keep playing. Like, love it. I mean, it's just such a great story for all of us. And then we had the opportunity at the World Ringette Championships when they were in Mississauga to meet a woman called Veronica Holcomb, and she was played for Czech Republic, and she actually brought Ringette to her nation. I mean, she happened to be Googling something around hockey, and she came across Ringette. She was fascinated by it. She self-taught herself on YouTube, and then basically brought it to her country. Like, now they're playing Ringette. I mean, to me, that's pretty amazing stuff, right? And then I have two others that, we've recently done podcast interviews for, and there are articles on our site as well. But, Jessica Silver, she's an adaptive fitness coach. She happens to be one of our circle leaders for our Paramazing Circle. And she's a force to be reckoned with. I mean, she dealt with, some tragic bullying, and some really hard, physical pain in her life as a result of, her cerebral palsy. And yet she, absorbed fitness as a way of life. And now she's teaching other people how to use it as a means of being resilient and living their life fully. Like, she was down and she didn't stay down, and she never stays down. She just steps back up and keeps going. I mean, the stories keep coming. There are so many great stories of resilience. And what I love the most about it is just seeing that, people who are resilient stand up, and they don't just keep walking for themselves. They bring others along with them. And it's amazing. It's heartwarming. And sports at the crux of, healing and helping and, just thriving. And it's cool. It's amazing to see.
And I love your Ringette examples. We love Phyllis. Phyllis is the best. So thank you for highlighting her as well. But I'm interested now to ask you both if you've had a mentor in your life. Obviously, you've had quite great careers up until this point. But I'm curious to know if there's anyone in your life that you saw at a certain age that brought you to more of an involvement within the sports world, or brought you more into involvement in the business world, or brought you some confidence to really do what you do now. If there's a name or a group of people or anybody that you saw on TV that inspired you, I'd be curious to know about that.
Do you want to go with Caroline? Want to jump in?
Sure. Yeah, sure. Two people come to mind for me. A gentleman named John Frittenberg, longtime management consultant. He happened to be a neighbor of mine, and I've been working in the insurance industry. And just after undergrad, I was a business student and didn't really find the world of insurance, a passion, and thought I really want to go into sport. And I knew John was in the world of recreation and leisure, and so he really took the time to sit down with me and help me understand sort of next steps and what I should do. And so it led me to going back to university and going to the University of Waterloo, and ultimately getting a master's in recreation and leisure studies. And he also gave me an opportunity to get some work experience in the world of recreation management consulting, and really has always been open door policy, generous with his time and his advice, always willing to listen, always willing to support, whatever it was I was working hard at or trying to give a go at. And so I have to give a big kudos to him as well. And then my second mentor would be a wonderful woman who's no longer with us. Her name is Bentley. She lived in Calgary. Again, a powerhouse of a gal who really was a pioneer in employee fitness and wellness. When I moved to Calgary, she was open door policy, invited me into her world of employee fitness and wellness, and really just taught me some really important lessons of how to build relationships, the value of relationships, and just, again, was so inspirational in helping me be my best. And so I would say, I know you asked this earlier, Emily, why, to me, there's a very strong sense of giving forward to the new generation coming in, because so many people who were pioneers and leaders in their own right opened the doors for me. And I think it's powerful to be able to be that type of conduit.
Thank you, Caroline.
So for me, I also have two. And oftentimes I think it starts in the house, in our home. For me, my dad, who really wasn't a sporty guy at all, but he was truly a community builder. And when I say community builder, like he had a hammer and nails and he physically built houses. Like he was building real communities. And, I didn't appreciate it when I was young, but, when I was 5 or 6 or 7 years old and I was trekking to the work site with my dad because I was in my little hard hat and my little, steel toe boots. And like we were physically building communities and I got to see these things grow from nothing to something. And then I got to see people move in. And then, I got to help when as I grew up, I got to be, a part of the sales process and meet people in those communities. And it really kind of cemented something solid in me that was like, our communities are made up with the people in them and we need to know each other. And, so his community building was something that I kind of stored inside me for many years. And as I look back, I see that many of the career jobs I did or the businesses I launched were all about kind of building community. And then I also had a woman in my early 20s when I was working. I really wanted to work for an advertising agency and I had to take a huge pay cut to do it. But I really wanted to be in that industry. I wanted to learn about marketing and it was really sexy and it was fun. And but I didn't have the experience. I had sales experience. I'd worked in a sales job and she saw me for my capabilities, for who I was, not for what I had done. And that really stuck in me because as we're looking at, helping, the next generation come through, I look for character. I look for who that person is because you can grow skills, but you need to have that, real gusto for life. So Carol Schmeigel was an amazing woman. She's out east now. And I met her in my early days and she really set the tone for me. I watched the way she managed people. I watched the way that anybody from, a junior level to a senior level is important. And that combined with my, my deep heart for community is really kind of carried with me.
I love that too. And what's interesting about both of you having two mentors and influences in your life, 2 of those 4 were men. And I know a lot of our conversations always revolves around, women supporting women. And I think that's because, especially women in sport, we understand that we're often overlooked, underrepresented, misrepresented. In a lot of ways, we understand, like, even if we play different sports, that we kind of go through similar struggles in the way that, the world tends to see women's sports. And I always like to point out the value in not only having women support each other, but because of the platform that men have, especially in sports, how valuable it is to have men backing you and men shouting from the rooftops the same things that you're shouting. Because again, with the way that we're set up now is a lot of the time they were in the power positions and they have the louder voice. But if they start shouting our messages, then it does get across a lot more. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions on including more than just women and using these structures to get our points across, especially in sports. And Caroline, I'd love to hear from you first.
Sure. Well, a big part of our philosophy is that, for us to have success in sport as women, we need the men in our lives. I know for me personally, my husband is my best fan and biggest supporter in the sense that he is always making sure that I'm taking time for myself and we're taking time for each other to do the things that make us feel connected and feel a sense of success, I guess, in terms of sport. But he also supports our children, our girls, our 2 daughters, and he's a coach and wants them to be a full participant in the world of sport. So, and just like you said, there have been a lot of, John Frittenberg was an important part of how I really entered the world of sport. He was willing to take the time. So I think we have to understand that the men in our lives who want to support us are there for a reason. And we need to be grateful for that. And we need to embrace it and make sure that they feel a sense of inclusion and welcome in our sport communities. And which is why, we strongly encourage men to be a part of the See What She Can Do community as supporters.
Tina, your thoughts?
Yeah, and in fact, 25% of our membership are men.
Yep.
So we walk the talk. I mean, we've been to events where we've seen, we had a golf tournament, the year before COVID shut everybody down, but we had a big golf tournament where there was over 150 people in a room, and the majority of them were men raising money for their daughter's team. So I think we need to make sure that when we do communicate, that we make sure that we encourage our supporters to be a part of our lives and a part of our communities, because the more we can do stuff together, the better off we'll all be. And so we think it's important. Our philosophy really is that we think it's important that women and their supporters are all part of one community.
And it can be simple things too. Like we recently just saw a player on the Canucks when he was in a press conference wearing a sweatshirt from the Women's Hockey League. So
absolutely,
it's simple acts like that to just really solidify that these spaces do deserve space and deserve our attention. And it doesn't have to be, men's basketball versus women's basketball. It's men's basketball, women's basketball, not necessarily versus, right?
Yeah.
They are unique sports, and I think that a lot of the time it's very easy to get caught up in comparison, because that's what we like to do as human beings, always comparing and staying at the top. But there's so much value in the way that women participate in sport, and maybe it doesn't look exactly the same as men participating in sport, but that doesn't mean it's not valuable. So I love what you guys are doing and encouraging everybody to be involved in these kind of things, and not to say just men versus women, but all genders inclusive, and making sure that we have those spaces included for anyone of any identity as well.
Yeah, and I think if I can jump in real quick, again, it's that zero-sum game. It's not like, at the end of the day, the more we have together and the more parts to it, the more we're going to all be able to receive from it. So it's a misnomer that if people say you give to the girls, you're going to take away from the boys. It's just not the case. It's really being able to make the most of everything in sport for everyone.
Absolutely. And I love all of these messages, and I think you two are the perfect carriers of this message. And again, See What She Can Do is a fantastic platform that I encourage everybody to go at least check out, because there's tons of opportunities to get involved, lots of spaces to explore. You can filter by your location to see what's close to you, and maybe when sports start coming back online, and you find something new to try. Not just
there's all kinds of virtual things to try right now too, so you don't have to wait until sports come back online. Come check out right now, because many of us are very bored. so get out and try something right now. What else have you got to do on a night where you've done your walk already?
Try something virtual.
Yeah, yes, and if you try something, exactly. And if you try something new and you want to let people know about it, tell us. You've got the plate. You've got the means to do that. So really easy.
Now, what's your favorite thing about your platform in general? Not maybe just talking about community is a huge part of it, but what specific thing that you can do as a user for the platform that you can do, again, as an individual user?
I would say I loved it. Made these amazing oat-based pancakes on the weekend, this past Easter weekend. Never ever tried it, and I'm a anti-texture kind of gal when it comes to food, but I was blown away, and I was so blown away that
we were all like, "Yeah, we've all tried those, Caroline."
Yeah, I know, but
it was good. It was good.
I had to share the recipe, and I had to get it out there. So I did a little quick a couple pictures. Used my cell phone, took a couple pictures of the pancakes and some of the ingredients, and the rest is up to you. Just go and try it, because it was amazing. So for me, it's about being able to, right at my fingertips, just do the story and off I go.
And for me, there's two pieces. One is I love the notion that now there's something I can, now that things are shut down, I can actually find people and do stuff together. And it's fun stuff, and it's stuff that I care about, and it's people that share my interests. So the new circles piece of it is really, to me, one of the most dynamic things we've introduced, and I'm super stoked to meet people in other communities and do fun things online that are outside of what we would normally do. So that's really fun. And then our business directory is actually kind of cool. Like, there isn't a place really where you can find everything that I would care about as an active woman and by my own town. So like, I can go in and I can type in, I can go to TripAdvisor if I want to travel someplace, or I can go to Yelp if I want to order some food, but like, I can come to See What She Can Do and see who's supporting me in my community and shop local. Shop local for my programs or my products or my services or whatever that may look like. So, I love the stories too. I'm a storyteller. I'm one of the writers on See What She Can Do, but I think those other aspects are pretty fun too.
And we love supporting local. We love shopping local. So really great opportunity for now, especially. I think that's a really great piece of that. And Caroline, what in the sports world is really exciting for you now? I know with the great pause, we're not seeing as much sports on TV, sports being played live, sports being played with fans. But that's not to say that things aren't happening in the sports world. And a lot of the conversations I've been having within the sports community is that now is a really great time to kind of reflect back on your structuring, on your organization, on what you're offering in sports, and to change the way that you do things because you have this time now. And I'm wondering, is there something that's up and coming in the sports world, or some shifts that you're seeing that are really exciting for you now?
I would say, I think we're all becoming a little more, just to your point in terms of being able to be reflective. I'm hoping that, and I'm getting a sense that people are becoming more transformational in their sense of what's possible and the leadership they can provide, as opposed to being transactional. And what I mean is seeing what the power of the potential of what you can do in your own world, and how that ripple can really roll a long way. And I think because we've been forced to sort of be isolated, but yet leverage the world of the internet to be connected, that ripple effect of what we're trying to do in our own world really can transform the whole thing. And if people are more, I do think people are becoming more willing to connect. Like, for example, there was a company called Sportageous, which runs different sports events in Australia. And they reached out to us and said, can you help spread the word? They were doing the first ever global squash conference, and really just trying to bring people together to talk about the sport and see how they can compare notes and build the sport together collectively. And so we had an opportunity to spread the word on that event. And from there, we've met some new contacts in other parts of the world. So to me, that's the exciting part, when we go from thinking transactionally in terms of what each of us can do individually, to being transformational and understanding, okay, what is the power of many, and the power of working together in partnership. So that's what I'm excited about.
And you recently, sorry, Tina, I'll ask you a question that follows this. You recently sponsored a summit at Western University to talk about how people can be involved throughout their lives, and not necessarily like in their youth, or different ways to become involved in sport that go beyond being a player. And Tina, can you give us some more information on that, and what you see in the value in sponsoring an event like that, and hosting an event like that?
Well, I think to Caroline's point, the notion of possibility, I wanted to, just before I back into your question around Western, I did want to say that the other thing I'm starting to see now, as kind of the borders open up with our Zoom world now, is that our big world is becoming so much smaller. And, we're on panels that are international with people in Glasgow and New York City and Toronto and in Montreal. Like, it's pretty amazing. And even the panels that we're participating in, or the events that we're participating in, that aren't necessarily sport related. So maybe they're women entrepreneur related, or maybe they're technology related, it's amazing. I was on a panel in New York City with women like from across the world, and there were some pretty high powered women. I'm like, oh, we've got a start. And I was one of the few startups there, and they were like from some pretty big brand, names. And a big part of the conversation focused around the value of sport in their lives. So like, don't underestimate the power of, even if it's not just in the world of sport, the power of sport in your life. Because here we're talking with all these high powered tech women, and they're talking about, how officiating soccer had a huge impact on their C-level position that they're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think it's kind of cool the way that sport is no longer being confined to the world of sport, and how the doors are opening up so that people can see the value of it in life skills and in career and beyond. And then that flows nicely into the whole, Western sponsorship, right? Because, the opportunity to meet with these, young career seekers who are interested in the world of sport, the conversation isn't just how to get into the world of sport, but how to use your skills that you're learning in sport for life, and for your career. So it was a great experience. Caroline, do you want to talk a little bit more to the experience at Western?
Sure.
And I'm an alumni, so for me, it's an important thing to give back to that great school.
Yeah. I thought it was a great event. They did an amazing job of bringing in a really strong panel of sport professionals, from entrepreneurs to administrators to teachers and coaches, across all levels of sport, in the university, in the community, and in the advocacy and action fields. But what I loved, and one of our interns, Jacqueline, was able to be a part of things, and she loved having the opportunity to be a part of conversations that really, sometimes you just want to listen to what people are talking about, just sort of give yourself a chance to absorb what's going on. Yeah. And just kind of be that fly on the wall, because how else are you going to be able to hear those conversations if you're having the conversations just with the people that are always in your circle? And so, for me, I would always challenge people in sport, as professionals, men and women, to always be willing to bring new people in, because it's amazing what new ideas and new talents can bring to the table to have success, either in sport or, as Tina said, in technology or whatever industry you find yourself in. So I really thought they did a great job.
And I love that you just said challenge, because I would love to challenge the both of you to be able to give us 2 action items each, where somebody of any age, gender, ability, income, to do something to create and foster healthy community today. So we'll start with Tina with your 2 action points for that.
Okay, so I am going to challenge everyone to celebrate. And I think there's 2 parts to that. So those will be my 2 pieces. I think to stop and celebrate anybody in your community who is doing something great. And part of that comes with listening and watching and recognizing, but just even if it's small, like, let's just celebrate each other. Our world is so harsh. Like, let's create a place where we're celebrated and we feel like we can belong. And part of that is just being acknowledged for who you are and what you can do. And that's why we're called See What You Can Do. Because we know whatever you can do is valuable and you should be celebrated. So it starts by celebrate one person this week, and maybe celebrate somebody else next week, and then somebody else the following week. Just celebrate. And then the second piece is celebrate yourself. We can be hard on ourselves. So share your story. The stories that we've covered have had a personal impact on me and many others. And, you may think your story isn't big, it's not important, but it is. And it can make a real impact on people. And particularly when you're vulnerable and you share a challenge that you're going through, it's amazing how many people step up and go, I'm going through the same thing. So, we're trying to foster a really healthy community where, we're not, we're supportive. So I would say celebrate somebody else and celebrate yourself. Those are my 2 things.
Those are great, Tina. I would say 2 things that I actually do every day, because I'm a big walker, is I would challenge people to do, talk to a stranger, say hello, say, how are you? Have a great day. I love saying hello to the people in my
She
neighborhood.
does do that, by the way. She really does. I've been with her, and they're like, "Hi, Caroline. Hi, Caroline." Like, how do you know all these people? It's because she does that.
Because I really think the more we know each other and the more we see ourselves in our neighbors, the more we're going to be more compassionate and more empathetic. And then the second thing I would suggest, and I think the world needs a lot more compassion and empathy right now, so that, because life is hard right now in a lot of different ways, but it's actually really amazing right now because there are a lot of silver linings to what we're going through. And then the second thing I would do, and I love to do this every day because I think it's really important, is to let someone know how grateful you are to have them in your life, and to tell them how special it is to have them. And gratitude and compassion and empathy, I think, are some of the key components in being able to build resilience in life, and it will take you a long way. So I would say, always, try to be grateful for the people, and let the folks that you're grateful for, let them know you're grateful, and say hello to a stranger. Let them know you recognize, you acknowledge them, and that you see them.
And I love all of that. Thank you, Tina and Caroline. I'm going to take on those challenges. Absolutely. Very easy enough to go into my neighborhood and say hello to people. So I'll definitely be doing that. So for See What She Can Do, how can people find you? What's the best way to access the platform?
SeeWhatSheCanDo.com. Yep.
Easy enough. It's the website. You can learn more at SeeWhatSheCanDo.com, explore those circles, get involved in virtual communities, find people with similar interests. Again, it's a very fantastic website, and it's grown a lot in the 3 years it's been servicing our communities, and we really appreciate everything you both have done for Ringette Ontario, for Ringette as a community, for sport, and with all communities in staying active and being active and sharing those stories. So thank you both very much for joining us tonight. Wonderful to speak with you both. Thank you again. It's good seeing you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So we've now reached the end of our show, but before we head out, we'd like to honor someone special. This week, we asked you all to nominate a player, volunteer, coach, fan, or official in the Ringette community to be recognized during our final See What She Can Do moment presented by See What She Can Do during our team talk. Now, this month, we'd like to recognize Paige Latine. Paige is an NRL player for the Cambridge Turbos, camp director at Peak Ringette Academy, and was a member of the senior national team that competed in the 2019 World Ringette Championships. She was nominated by Kristen Graham, who says, Paige and her sisters have had such a huge impact on our daughter's Ringette life. They have been amazing leaders at Peak Ringette Academy for multiple years and continue to go above and beyond for so many players, and they coach outside of that. They are true inspirations for what it means to be a good coach, mentor, role model, and player. We'd also like to recognize Laurie Grant. Laurie is a Ringette official and was awarded the Ringette Ontario Provincial Official of the Year in 2009. She was nominated by Amy Haynes, who said that Laurie deserves recognition for the dedication that she has shown to Ringette as a player, official, and official supervisor. She embodies the respect, teamwork, care for others, and passion that Ringette represents. So thank you to Paige and Laurie for your hard work in the Ringette community. We also like to honor all of our nominees this season for their commitment and dedication to Ringette. We appreciate all of you, and you can read these names on the screen right now. Now, thank you all for tuning into our final episode of Team Talk. Like I said, this is the last episode, and we've had some really great moments in everything that we've seen up to now with Team Talk. And if you'd like to access those episodes during that series, you can visit those episodes and subscribe and watch on YouTube and Facebook. Ringette Ontario has them on YouTube, so feel free to go back there and check out all those episodes with some wonderful guests and explore the world of Ringette a little bit more. So thank you again to See What She Can Do for sponsoring this event. Thank you to all of those taking time out of your evenings to watch this event. And thank you, Tina and Caroline, again. Thank you so much for coming out.